I should have been smart like my wife and taken today off.
Nashville.
Well, we didn't get back. What the hell happened here? This is... Lord.
You got back late last night. Is that what happened?
So we didn't leave until, and you know me, I tend to get up early, but we didn't leave until almost 8:00 in the morning.
All right.
I got up pretty early yesterday, not on purpose, just as a force of habit. But woke up pretty early. Didn't wake the wife up until almost 7, and said, "Hey, it's
time to roll."
Well, no, I just sort of said, hey, it's 7 o'clock. Do you want to, because we didn't really make any plans to get up and leave at a certain time. But no, I woke her up and said, it's almost 7 o'clock. What do you want to do? Do you want me to let you sleep? Do you want to get up? And she's like, well, I should probably get up. And so we got up and got ready, and we left the hotel about 8 o'clock, and we didn't get home till a little after 9 o'clock last night. So when did the power go out? Because everything was blinking in our house.
I did not have that situation happen to me.
I figured if we had it, you had it, because we live close enough.
Nope,
usually,
it did not happen to me.
Whatever, it wasn't a big deal, but the cat was just astounded that we were home. He meow, 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 and I felt so bad because we got home, and I was exhausted,
Yeah.
We were in a car for 12 hours driving, from Nashville back to La Crosse, and I told my wife, I'm like, look, I'm just going to unload the car. I'm going to take a quick hot shower, and I'm getting into bed, and I'm going to sleep because I got to get up and go to work.
Yeah. We'll do all this other stuff later.
So Mr. Cricket, the cat, the dogs are still with our friends, but he was very excited to see us, and it was for only about 10 minutes. And then we went right in the bedroom and shut the door. It's like, so first thing this morning, as soon as I opened the door, he's like, meow, 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 and he's following me around, and I'm like, I know, buddy. I'm like, come on, give me a break. I'll hang out with you later today. I'm like,
I promise. So Nashville was awesome. Metallica, you'll tell us all about it.
Yeah, obviously, lots to download and to sift through when talking about going on a trip to a place you've never been before.
Into.
Yeah, and I knew we were going to. We probably could have packed a whole lot more into it.
I don't know.
We could have. We didn't. The early morning stuff is tough, because I get up early and I'm sort of ready to go right away, and my wife, not so much.
She's trying to vacation, so
not really. She just naturally will sleep in much later, and I'm sort of the mind. Look, I'm happy to be left alone, and it's quiet, and I don't have to talk to her, and I can have my coffee, and she can sleep, and
so that's okay too.
Yeah, but no, we did quite a bit of stuff, and obviously the Metallica shows and all that. So. More on that throughout the morning. Also, bad news, happy music later on. We'll see what you've been up to while I've been gone.
Also very busy. Starting out sunny, but I heard overcast by this afternoon. Still warm, though, mid-70s, but in the clouds.
This is delightful. 74 today in our area, 80-ish tomorrow.
70s.
Yeah.
60s. I got to get the rest of my plans in. Got to happen. This weather is, perfect.
That's a thing for this weekend, I believe, for us. Got some Pearl Jam on the way, some Alice in Chains. If you need anything, you can find us online at rockmornings.com. Head there for all of our contact info and, of course, register to win prizes. Get to that Pearl Jam in a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene back from our trip to Nashville. More on that a bit later on. Looks like we're going to get a new pope at some point.
Oh,
starting this week.
We have to.
Yeah. So I think May 7th. So what's that, Wednesday is when they start doing this whole thing?
It's the conclave.
Yeah. Senior members of the Catholic Church gathering on Wednesday for the conclave to determine the next pope. 135 cardinal electors. Deliberations, of course, happening in secret behind locked doors. A successor for Pope Francis needs a 2/3 majority, and they do the smoke signals, and the national media gets all worked up about that. If black smoke comes out of the chimney, the Cardinals are not in agreement. We'll need to vote again. Once the white smoke can be seen, that means that a new Roman Catholic Church leader has been established. Unclear how long that process will take.
Can it take anywhere from 7 days to 23 or 31?
Yeah, or less. Conclave holds 2 rounds of voting each morning with another 2 in the afternoon until they reach a consensus. All of the conclaves over the past century have ended in under 4 days. So it could take quite a bit of time, but it sounds like, based on history, we'll have one maybe by the end of the week. Pope Francis was elected pope at the end of the conclave's second day back in 2013.
Yeah, and I had heard, whether there's any validity to that or not, but since his illness started, back in early February, that they may have good idea what their intentions were, and so that the conversations may not last as long.
Yeah.
Because they were given time to, to have these thoughts and prep a little bit.
We'll see what happens, obviously. But that starts on Wednesday. A Wisconsin woman who went missing more than 60 years ago has been found alive and well. Just over here living her life. Didn't want to be found. Audrey Backberg, 20 years old when she was first reported missing and disappeared from her home in Reedsburg back in July of 1962. Reportedly left her family's home on the 7th of July in 1962, and the family's babysitter claimed the two of them hitchhiked to Madison, Wisconsin before taking a Greyhound bus to Indiana. The babysitter, who was not identified, said she last saw Backberg, the mother of then at the time a mother of two, walking around the corner away from the bus stop. Backberg never returned home and was never heard from again until now. A detective assigned to do a comprehensive review of the cold case. Diligent investigative work uncovered new insights into the disappearance. Saying, quote, further investigation has revealed that Mrs. Backberg's disappearance was by her own choice and not the result of any criminal activity or foul play. Did not disclose where she was found. Backberg, now 82, living outside of Wisconsin. Sister's Ancestry.com account was apparently the reason for the location. Able to find her through that.
Apparently she was married at 15, and her marriage was troubled. There was allegations of abuse. She had filed a criminal complaint against her husband right around the time of her disappearance.
Yeah, and apparently says she's happy, confident in her decision, no regrets.
But 2 children and her family looking for her for
you'd think that
5-6 decades. I mean, I understand that being married young and having troubles and
think of the movie
like
Sleeping with the Enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example. How did he find her? Because he went to the mom, who was in the the elder care home, right? So she reached out to her mom because she loves her mom and told her where she was, and that's how he found her. And then he shows up and tries to kill her. So, yeah, I suppose if you're in an abusive relationship and you're terrified, and this is in the 60s where
and she was a child.
Well, yeah,
it just.
Excuse me. T-Pain and the Wisconsin State Fair.
Oh, man.
In a dispute.
Is this the... I heard, because rap, right? Isn't that...
Right. Rap is scary, and it brings the gangs. That's what they're allegedly saying. And
did they? I
don't know. I just got back, so this is all French to me. I'm picking it up as I go.
I tried to look into it yesterday.
So T-Pain, the rapper, blasting the Wisconsin State Fair and their officials, alleging they discriminated against his Wisconsin State Fear event set for June. In videos posted on social media, T-Pain said that he had already reached a deal with the Wisconsin State Fair Park for the event, which included car drifting at the Milwaukee Mile. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It does.
They just said they don't like the name, and they felt it was too similar to their name, Wisconsin State Fair, Wisconsin State Fear. It's a Friday the 13th theme. Said that when his team added carnival rides and karaoke to the event, park officials changed their tune despite having a contract. Said we can't have carnival rides because if we have rides there, gangs are going to come. Carnival rides bringing gangs?
I don't know. I'm not sure I understand that that's really what it was about. I know it was he had this festival at the rave, and now there's problems, and he's moving it. So he's still having it, but he's moving the location. Was it the name thing? Was it like I
don't think it's a name thing. I think it's old white people who don't understand, rap and hip hop culture and art.
Well, that part I completely understand, but why would rides make any? That's what I don't.
Yeah.
That brings the gang because the state fair has rides.
Well, and there could also be a thing where maybe they had an outline as to what was agreed upon, and he's adding new stuff, and they're like, well, we didn't agree to that. Like,
right.
You can't, you
missteps, miscommunication, is that?
And I can see, look, big companies throughout the entire world are concerned when you take their name and change it to fit your tune. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to be associated with that stuff in case something happens. They're like, well, we didn't,
Right.
Because the general public may not understand.
Sometimes people at the helm don't handle things, and it sounds like that was the case, that there might have been some issues that they were concerned about, but the way they handled it and what they said was stupid.
Apparently, the turkeys in Eau Claire are aggressive. We've
Attacking
seen this
people?
time and time. Oh, they're horny. The turkeys, they get horny.
I've seen them follow people, like, at their mailboxes. Is that the kind of thing we're talking about?
We've received a few calls from people stating that they've had a few aggressive turkeys chase them as they're navigating our trails system, specifically on Old Wells Road between Domer Park and Highway 312. Said Lane Berg, the city's community services director. The turkeys are not an imminent danger for people. They're kind of a nuisance and like to chase people. You're going to see turkeys show mating activity even as early as the middle of March. Apparently, a bunch of turkeys out there just horny as hell, looking for love in all the wrong places, and people in Eau Claire have got to watch out. Just kick a leg at them; they'll go running away. You'll be fine. And apparently, we're reopening Alcatraz. Did you hear about this?
I did not.
President Trump is calling for the prison and historical landmark, Alcatraz, to be rebuilt larger and reopened to house the country's most ruthless and violent criminals.
Welcome to the Rock.
Trump made the announcement in a Truth Social post last night. Rebuild and open Alcatraz, said the president. Quote, for too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. Yada, yada, yada. You can read more about that, but it sounds like we're getting Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage out there to take care of those rockets on Alcatraz. So do they have to tear that whole thing down?
I don't know. Isn't it
You would
part of
think
the
that thing is
National Park
crumbling at this
Service?
point.
I thought it was like,
Well,
you
yeah.
can tour it, and it's like a historic
And
location.
like all the systems are still in place, right? It has to be up and running, but I can't imagine it's
not
in
necessarily.
shape to house prisoners.
No, it was unfit, I believe. That's why it closed.
I guess we'll find out. Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Sports in just a bit. Right now, Alice in Chains.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Alice in Chains, Wood on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. The Brew Crew dropping 2 out of 3 to the Cubs this weekend, losing 10-0 on Friday and 6-2 on Saturday. But
1-2. They're going to miss strike 3. That's the ball game.
Overpowering pitching performance by the Brewers here today. We talk a lot about momentum in baseball, and the old adage is momentum is your next day's starting pitcher, and they had their ace, Freddie Peralta, teed up and ready to go here today at Imanaga for the Cubs. Unfortunately, had to leave the game due to that injury, and that's where things kind of unraveled.
Cubs got a beatdown yesterday at the hands of the Brewers, 4-0 final score. Tonight, the Brewers are at home against Houston, 6:40 for the first of 3 against the Astros. In the NBA yesterday, the Pacers taking a 1-0 series lead on the Cavaliers with a 121-112 win, and the Golden State Warriors.
And Steve Kerr is moving on once again from the play-in to the playoffs and into the second round go the Golden State Warriors. A hard-fought 7 games. But the Warriors, with all that championship pedigree, go on the road and beat the Rockets and eliminate the Rockets. The Warriors are moving on.
Golden State Warriors advancing to face the Timberwolves after they beat Houston 103-89 in Game 7 of that series last night. Tonight, in the NBA, the Knicks are at the Celtics at 6 o'clock. That game on TNT. It's Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, and then it's followed by the late game, Oklahoma City on TNT, 8:30, Western Conference semifinals. NHL yesterday, Winnipeg outlasting St. Louis in double overtime.
Kyle Connor, Pionk wants it. He gets it. Pionk shoots. Tip. They score! Game over. Series over. And the hero is Adam Lowry.
Double overtime. 4-3 win, Game 7 of that series. The Jets now move on to face Dallas in the next round. Tonight in the NHL, only one game. The Panthers at the Maple Leafs, 7 p.m. on ESPN, game 1 of that second-round series. Reigning NASCAR Cup champion Joey Logano.
Yeah, what?
Overcoming a lot to get his first win of the season. It came a week after his Team Penske teammate Austin Cindric got a win at Talladega, where Logano had originally finished 5th, but after a post-race inspection ended up 39th. He started 27th at Texas yesterday after a very bad qualifying effort on the 1.5 mile track, but Logano surging ahead on the restarts in overtime yesterday to win the 11th race of the year. He led only 7 of the 271 laps, 4 more than were scheduled, but still got himself a victory. We'll see if he gets any penalties from this race. Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Got a text from Jim. Said 27 days left to go, then I am disappearing. LOL. Our friend Jim back from Kuwait just about a month ago and going to be retiring, and then he said he's going to be a fart in the wind.
Like driving an RV? And
I don't know what his plans are, but I think I remember earlier I had asked him that he might move back to Georgia, I believe, where he's originally from. So, Jim, thanks for the text. Enjoy your last 27 days. Mm-hmm. You probably won't enjoy them as much as you enjoy retirement. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but 27 days. You can do one of those chains, the little paper chains, and hang
Christmas countdowns. Hell yeah. Some Bad Flower coming up in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
That is Detroit or Detroit from Bad Flower. There we go. I got it. First day back. American Idol is on tonight on ABC. The Judges Song Contest. I'm assuming that's when the judges pick the songs they want you to sing.
I'm guessing.
The Voice on NBC tonight, part 2 of the playoffs. Season 7 finale of All-American on the C-Dub. Also the 7th season finale of The Neighborhood on CBS. David Spade, Kristen Cavallari going to be on with Jimmy Fallon. Kimmel's talking to Noah Wiley and Tom Segura. Jim Gaffigan, the comedian, will be on with Stephen Colbert, and John Oliver and Chloe Fineman on with Seth Meyers tonight. So that's what's on the boob tube. Got some NHL playoff hockey on ESPN. Got NBA playoffs on TNT. Celtics and Knicks at 6, and then late game at 8:30. I'm going to be probably in bed by then. We didn't get home till late, so I'm running on fumes here. But, all right, so Nashville. Went down there to see Metallica on Thursday and Saturday. Thursday night it was Suicidal Tendencies and Pantera, and then Metallica. And then on Saturday it was Ice Nine Kills. Why am I drawing a blank? Limp Bizkit, and then Metallica. Show-wise, it was all good. I thought all the bands did a good job.
Besides the bands that obviously make the night and make the vibe and make the story, was there one particular night of Metallica songs that were more like?
No, I mean, I've seen them so many times. It was all good. Everything was. I mean, they're very polished. Everything was cool. Saturday we had a half-hour rain delay right after Limp Bizkit finished. It had been raining all day on Saturday, and it stopped for a little while, and it was just kind of sprinkly, in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And right after Limp Bizkit finished, as they were, doing the set change and everything, just before Metallica was probably about to take the stage, the big screens in the stadium flashing that, there was a storm coming in and they had to clear everybody out. We were on the floor, and, anybody that's ever been to a show like this in a stadium knows you don't leave until they absolutely force you to, because then you lose your spot. And so we just kind of stood there in the rain and made the most of it with some people that were around us. And the other thing about it, too, is that, you turn and you look, and all the people that are in the stands are trying to get out, and there's just nowhere to go. So you might as well just stand there and wait anyways, Stadium-wise, it was okay. The stadium itself was okay.
They're building the new one around it, right?
Yeah. Not around it. I mean, it's next door.
Okay.
But, yeah, so they're building the new one next door. We didn't go and check it out. What was crazy to me was that when we left the show on Thursday night, it was about 11:30 by the time we got outside, and they were working on it at night, which is,
Right. Lights are on and the crews are going at it.
They were hammering away at it, man. And so obviously they've got deadlines and all that stuff, but it's just, a lot of times you don't see them wanting to.
Surprise.
You don't want to see the investment made on that, right? That's a lot of money to pay that overtime, or pay another shift or whatever it might be. So, so the stadium didn't have any bathrooms on the floor whatsoever. So if you had to go to the bathroom and you're on the floor, you had to go all the way up the stairs into the concourse area to go to the bathroom.
Well, I suppose it makes sense when it's a football game because who's on the ground?
Right.
Nobody from.
But there were no porta
position.
potties down there whatsoever. None. The first night was not sold out, and we were really bummed to find out that we could have probably saved a butt ton of money on tickets by waiting until the week of to get them. I had people, that we were talking to in the elevator that, were getting them for a quarter of what they were selling for when they originally went on sale. But,
all right.
When you're planning a trip like this so many months in advance, it's hard to take that into account.
Yeah.
Also on Saturday night, we had bought, much like the games at Lambeau and the Resch Center with the pregame tailgate party that they have, where it's like one price and you get food and drinks and there's entertainment and whatnot. They did something similar to that outside of the stadium, and it was $75 per person, and it was like barbecue and mac and cheese and like really good food, and they had cornhole boards, and then they had an open bar area. The tough part was that we didn't get there right when the gates opened. We were there maybe an hour later, so we were only in that. We didn't get our money's worth. Let's just say that.
Right. Your time was too short there to drink that many drinks or have that much food.
Whatever. Lesson learned, not a big deal. We were hanging out. We ended up meeting another couple and talking to them and having a good time. And the food was fantastic. And they had the Derby on as well. They had a big trailer with the TVs and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, show wise, they were great. Pantera was fantastic. Metallica was Metallica.
How was that Q&A or whatever that you went to? Didn't you go to a thing?
Yeah, on Friday night, we had bought tickets to go see. Kirk Hammett has a book out now about his guitar collection. Yes. It's rather thick.
It's a coffee table book, isn't it?
It's encyclopedic. Let's just put it that way. And there's several different iterations of it. But basically it's him,
with his guitars.
With his guitars and pictures all around Hawaii where he lives. And there was a little, I thought it might be, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew he was going to be there talking about his guitars, and he was being interviewed by a guy from Gibson, who's like a senior VP guy, whatever. And they had some amps on the stage, and I thought maybe he would play a little bit or do a Q&A or something like that, but it was just about an hour of him talking about some of the guitars. They had pictures from the book. They had a couple of the guitars out on the stage, some of the more well-known guitars. It was a little bit techie, but not too bad. Mm-hmm. So if you're, as a person who loves music and has been around music forever and gone to shows and seen bands and all that stuff and has musicians as friends, I know a little bit about guitars and stuff, but there is some terminology in there where you're like, what the hell is he talking about?
This is way guitar-y.
Right. But you could tell he kind of dumbed it down for the average person. But it was good. It was fun. It was at the Country Music Hall of Fame. You could tell they did not want us there because they closed at like 5 o'clock, I think. And this was scheduled for 6. Uh-huh. And so the doors were locked, and they had to have a lady there to open the doors every time people were coming in, and she was not happy to see us. Let's just say that. But yeah, no, that part was fine. One of my favorite things that we did, we went all over the place. Hit up a bunch of breweries. We went down to Broadway. One of my favorite things was we went to the zoo. And we did it on Saturday just kind of on a whim because we were like, well, we got to kill some time in the morning. And, I don't want to overdo it with drinking and partying and stuff because we got to get up tomorrow. So I said, let's go to the zoo. Unfortunately, it was raining Saturday pretty much all day. And we got to the zoo, and it is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. It's on an old plantation.
I saw you post, and I was like, I wish we could have got there.
It is fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and they've got the house, the original house. You can go in there and you can take a walking tour of the house and the gardens and the area and all that stuff. And then the zoo is a whole other thing. So, unfortunately, we were about, I don't know, an hour and a half into it, and it just started to come down and it wouldn't stop. And I said, well, let's get the hell. We were already soaked, and I was like, let's get the hell out of here. And then we stopped and hit up a couple of breweries. Food-wise, we didn't eat at a ton of places. So I asked all of the Uber drivers that we had for recommendations because they live there and they tend to take people around. We had heard a ton of suggestions from people, obviously, places to go. And I wanted to try Nashville hot chicken. Well, the tourist one is Hattie B's. That's the one everybody knows about. And when we were asking the drivers, the Uber drivers, they said, you got to go to Helen's.
I heard about Helen's, yeah. Well,
Helen's is not in a great part of town, which means it's probably got really good Nashville hot chicken, right? It's a little, not I don't want to say sketch, but it's just more, it's like in a strip mall. And there's like a convenience store, and there's like a beauty shop next door.
Businesses, people doing business.
But it's just sort of this out of the way, sort of place. And there wasn't a lot of fluffery inside the restaurant part itself. It was, everything was kind of sticky. The gal behind the counter didn't seem too interested in taking our order. I asked her if they had what kind of coleslaw they had, whether it was creamy, like mayo based or vinegar, and she didn't know. And I said, okay, well, is one made with mayo or is it made with vinegar? She's like, I'm not going to get up and go open one up just to find out. And I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not going to get into it with this lady.
Let's just get some hot chicken and get out of here.
Hot chicken, can't do it, won't do it, never going to do it again. Too hot, too goddamn hot. So they had 4 levels. They had plain, which means none. Then they had mild. Then they had hot. Then they had hella. And so I figured I'd be okay with mild. Dude, first bite got into the back of my throat and I was done. I was just done. I had to tap out. Wife and I just trying to mow on this. Otherwise, it was delicious. It was fine. So when we went and got more food at a place called the Distillery,
you did not get hot,
which is down on Broadway. I went with the hot chicken sandwich, but I got the sauce on the side. And I dipped my
Did you even dip your chicken in it?
I know I did not. I dipped my pinky into it and I said no. I'm just going to enjoy this chicken sandwich.
So it's not hot chicken. It's just chicken.
Bro, can't do it.
It's just a chicken
cannot
sandwich.
Do it. Cannot do it.
You cannot say you had Nashville hot chicken.
Oh, I didn't. I did. I did at Helen's. I did, but it was.
But you didn't eat it.
I ate half the sandwich, but I was miserable the whole time. And I'm sure whatever. To each their own. But I'm not a spicy food person, and I learned my lesson.
It's just a chicken sandwich.
And then we tried to go to Martin's Barbecue, because that was the one everybody told us was the best. It was either that or Prince's.
Too packed.
The one downtown, and we spent a lot of our time on Broadway, because we wanted to go to all the bars and see all the things. But yeah.
Always a line.
It was crazy, right? It was a crazy line, and we walked all the way over there, and I was like, well, this is dumb. And that's when we ended up at the Distillery. We walked all the way back and went to the Distillery, and that was a delicious meal. But yeah, my wife had even said, she's like, when she was, on TripAdvisor and all that stuff, that people say go to the Martin's outside of downtown because it won't be as bad. So whatever, we didn't really get any good barbecue, which was unfortunate, but
lots of other good stuff to talk about in Nashville.
Yeah, lots. Mobile Flex now. Bury me with my guns on.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Guns N' Roses, of course. Sweet Child of Mine. I'm not a big fan of AI. I think it's our society's downfall. I'm a firm believer in the whole Terminator thing happening at some point. However,
this is a cool story.
This is kind of unique and interesting and probably deserves a little bit of a spotlight. There's a 12-year-old kid in New Zealand who created an AI pill bot to stop his grandmother from taking the wrong medication due to her poor eyesight. So here's this kid, a 12-year-old child, who loves his grandmother so much.
And he sees an issue.
And realizes that there's an issue there. And look, we've had the plastic pill pocket things, for years and whatever.
Yeah.
And for some people, those things work.
Divide them out and put everything.
But maybe that doesn't help his grandma for whatever reason. So he saw a problem and came up with a solution, an AI pill bot.
Pillbot is an artificial intelligence-powered device that has a camera in here and a computer in its brains here. And the camera takes a photo of the pill on this platform here. And it uses its AI model in the computer chip to recognize the pill based on its training.
Gabriel Anthony making a pill bot, an AI pill bot. Mm-hmm. When he was asked if we should fear AI, He said no, but joked, if AI does take over the world, I hope this project helps them realize I'm on their side.
So it's quite simple here. I made a robot that does this and looks at this and does this thing, and it's all for Granny.
My grandmother has poor eyesight, and she takes a lot of pills because of her conditions. Sometimes she takes the wrong one because she can't see it or recognize it. 150,000 Kiwis have the same problem, low vision. So I decided to build a pill bot to help people with her or like her recognize their pills.
Mm-hmm.
He says that his grandmother's eyesight is so bad that she needed a flashlight and a magnifying glass to identify the pills.
I bet.
Well,
look at that.
Let's say you take 7, let's be conservative here, 7 pills a day. And maybe out of the 7, 3 or 4 about the same size, maybe the same color. You know, have to be taken at a certain time with a certain food.
You know the bottles, trying to look at the prescription number to refill it.
Dude, I have my flashlight on my phone out so many times in Nashville. Jesus Christ. Can't see that
What were you looking at?
There's no lights on in any of the bar. Like, it's so dim and dark, obviously. It's like a nightclub in there no matter what time of day. So it's like if I got to read a menu.
Flashlight?
Yeah. Oh, man. I can see fine once it's bright. But when it's dark, low lighting, it's like, forget it. But this kid in New Zealand, of course.
Grandma needed it, and he made it.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, high school baseball team in Arizona just about to take the field when everybody heard a loud bang and then saw a bunch of smoke. There was a fire nearby, and some of the players left the field and ran over to help fight the fire with hoses.
And he was almost in tears. I mean, for us to be in the middle of a game and him to come over and want to give thanks to our boys, the first thing he said was, make sure you tell those boys that saved my house, give them some recognition. Kind of a really big event for these kids, you know, because kind of what we talk about is not just being good on the baseball field, it's being good citizens.
This is in Arizona. It sounds like a transformer blew up, which is what caused the huge loud bang and then the fire. But yeah, Rico Lorona and the Miami high school baseball team, normal game day in Arizona until the house caught on fire.
Jeez.
One of the kids said, me and my boy Bradley were running up there and we're the first ones on scene. And I was like, man, the fire started getting even bigger. And I was like, should we go tell the lady? And everybody was like, I don't know. That's pretty scary. But me and my boy Dre, we had no fear, said one of the players. The fire was on a woman's property. She didn't realize it at first. She was working from home and wearing headphones. So didn't hear the bang, didn't hear the fire, none of it. But they ran over there and were able to help get things started as eventually first responders and firefighters
but they were
able to get
first
there
on the scene
and put the
do
fire
something
out
about
and
it.
save the house. Yeah. Smooth move. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from my trip to Nashville. Continue to recap that. Also get to bad news, happy music later on, the friggin' sports.
Nashville's like fun, super fun.
It can be.
It feels like it's like Vegas, though. A few days is enough.
Yeah,
The expense, I think, is the one thing.
Oh, God. Brutal. We didn't really care because, we don't really like.
Well, you're on vacation. You're just going to get your drink, but
do whatever we want.
I did see that 2 drinks at the stadium were $38. Is that right? 2 beers.
Well, they were the 24-ounce Blue Moon, so they weren't.
Okay, well, that's a little different.
You get 48 ounces for $38. That's not bad.
No, I thought you meant regular beer size.
No,
I was like, oh,
no.
my God.
No. Yeah, no. So, anyways, more on my trip to Nashville. Coming up in just a bit, some Lincoln Park on the way as well.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
Today's show is brought to you by Cinco de Mayo, which is Spanish for St. Patrick's Day.
It is Cinco de Mayo. Translates, of course, to the 5th of May. It is not Mexican Independence Day. However, in a new poll, 39% of Americans do say that it's Mexican Independence Day. So almost 40% of people in America think that it's Mexican Independence Day. It is not.
Which is definitely not the case.
26% of Americans in a poll say it is a celebration of Mexican-American culture. 13% of people say it's a fun excuse to drink.
that's always, if it's a day or a thing or a celebration or whatever, it just adds a little different twist.
And another 13% of people admit that they really have no clue what the hell it's all about. Only 10% of people knew the correct answer. It's actually commemorating the Mexican victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla, which took place on May 5th in 1862, 163 years ago. Battle, not a major victory, but the French, of course, took control of Mexico several years later. It was a big morale boost for the Mexican resistance, helped them to gain an alliance with the Americans to eventually force the French to withdraw. So, not Mexican Independence Day.
Although, if you want to make some street corn dip.
Oh, elote?
Yeah.
70% of Americans do plan to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Most plan on eating some Mexican food, drinking a margarita, sipping on a Mexican beer. 20% of people say they will celebrate Mexican culture. 14% say they'll have a house party on a Monday. 8% will read up on Mexican history. Another 8 said they'll go clubbing or bar hopping.
Get those margaritas. They come in a pitcher, too, you know.
Yeah. We went to Nashville, obviously, wife and I, to see Metallica over the course of the weekend, Thursday and Saturday nights. The weather was...
so it's just been rainy. Nashville's been rainy all spring. They've had that flooding when I was down there, and it's kind of
It was warm, especially on Friday. Very sunny and warm, and to the point where it was almost uncomfortable to be outside for
humid,
very long.
Little humid.
Not so much
sticky.
humid, but just more like just the sun was just really coming down, and it was just like, oh God, like. And then it was just like rain all the time. Saturday was brutal. It rained all effing day. There was like a little break in the afternoon for the show, and then it came down again. But the bars that we hit up, obviously, there's a ton of them down on Broadway. We went to Kid Rock's place. John Bon Jovi's got a place down there we went to.
Oh, I never made it in that one. How was it?
It was, look, they're all the same. And
I know,
honestly, like, look, I've been in bars my entire life, and the stuff on the wall may look different, but at the root of it, it's all the same. There's a stage in the front by the windows. There's a bar in the middle.
Or a bar upstairs, or a bar upstairs,
right.
or a bar
and then
upstairs.
There's a bunch of tables, and there's bathrooms in the back. I mean, there's really nothing all that unique or interesting about any of the bars, in my opinion. And that's not to say that they're not cool or that they're not places I like to go. It's just saying when you break it down to the roots of it all, it's a bar.
Did you make it into that purple one that's supposed to be the highlight?
We went to Kid Rock's. We went to Jelly Rolls. We went to, let's see, where else did we go? We went to John Bon Jovi's place. Lainey Wilson has got a place that used to be Florida Georgia line, I think.
I think they still have one.
Look, I don't care. I go into these places and I'm like, oh, well. The thing that I found interesting that I didn't expect, and I knew there was going to be music. The crazy part was that, there was music right away. Like, we went down there one day at 11 a.m. and there was a band that was already an hour into their set.
There's live music at their Taco Bell.
Right. And
all the time.
And
it doesn't matter what time of the day or night. There's music.
My two favorite spots that we went to in terms of bars that are down on Broadway, Kid Rock's place.
Yeah.
Which was the first stop we went. We were able to get seats at the bar. It was
on the main level?
Yep, and it was still busy. We didn't go. We didn't go upstairs for that. The band was awesome. They were, cover bands. It's all cover bands. Some of them play, a few originals here and there, but they're playing for tips. So apparently the relationship is the bars don't pay them. They make their money on tips and song requests. And all the bands must have got into an alliance or something. They must have a union where they all agreed it was $20. $20 a song. And for the most part, we had them play a couple of tunes. They do a pretty good job. Uh-huh. If you've got some that they can play, they'll rip through it. However, every single band, to a T, did Journey, Don't Stop Believin', along with several others that you hear at every, and it's just...
Everybody loves them. That's why they're classics.
And it was all, AC/DC, Highway to Hell was another one. And I'm not, it's like, bro, So I've had so much of that in my life.
Yeah.
I don't need it anymore. But, man, they play, it's like we were in Kid Rock's on Friday, and it was asses to elbows in the middle of the afternoon, and the rain was coming. There was a huge storm that was coming through, and so they started to shut the windows, and all the people started to load into the bars to get out of the street, and they ripped into Don't Stop Believin', and every single person to a T in the bar was, except for me. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Here we go again.
Oh, God.
But
It was the 9th or 10th time I had heard the song that weekend. I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, I got to get out of here. Doc Holliday's was another awesome. So when we went down on Friday, it was the divey bar that everybody taught with all the dollars.
Yes.
It's stapled and taped to everything. And everyone had told us we got to go there, and it's kind of at the end, down by the river, sort of off the beaten path a little bit. And so we had walked from where the shuttle, the hotel shuttle, drops you off way at the top of Broadway, and so we had walked all the way down, and it's hot and sunny, and I'm not having it. I'm getting more like I got to get the hell out of here. I got to be inside with some air conditioning, and so we hit Doc Holliday's, and there was a light crowd. Did you go in there?
Mm-mm.
So it's very small.
Yeah.
Very small compared to all the other places. Like, you could probably put Doc Holliday's, the entire bar, inside the bar in Kid Rock's place. You know what I mean? Like, that's how small it is. So I managed somehow, I got a seat in the corner. It's like an L-shaped bar. It goes long this way and short this way. And I was right here in the corner. The air conditioner is blasting the top of my head from right behind me. And I'm just sitting like a friggin' king with my drink, and the one bartender, she was super mouthy, and it was right up my alley. There was a bunch of brides.
So your new favorite place, is that what you're saying?
I could sit there all day. I could just sit there all day and be happy with that. I was out of the sun. I was sitting in some air conditioning.
No live music?
They had a girl there playing. She was, they got room for one person. They don't have room for
It's a tiny little stage, yeah.
Yeah. And we went to all these other places, and they were all fine. They're all bars, and they have music, and they got multiple floors.
drinks.
And yeah, we went to one place that we thought was cool, and I'm trying to remember which place it was. It was, I can't remember the place. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry, but they had the guy from Sirius XM there, Jose Mangin, I think is his name. He was there doing a bar thing, and so we went in there and ran into him and got a picture and said hi. And then we went up to the rooftop, which is the first time we'd gone to a rooftop, and it was, raining and crazy up there, and Sheryl Crow's playing, and then we went down a floor, and they were doing dueling pianos, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So we stuck around for that for a little bit. The other place that I really liked, and I can't remember the name of it because I'm bad with names, but it's a brew house, and they have 72 beers on tap, and they do no live music. And I asked the bartender, I said, so do you guys not do live? And she's like, no, never. And I said, not even on and she says, no. And I said, that's great. Because honestly, like, I've had enough. Like, and I want to go somewhere, and I don't mind the music in the background, but it's like, I don't want to yell and scream just to get a beer or eat my cheeseburger. Right. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But yeah, there's no shortage of places to choose from when you're down there. And there's of course breweries all over the place. We went to a bunch of those as well. But most of our focus was on Broadway. We didn't really stray too far because there's just so much to see and do.
It's a lot to take in.
Obviously. It was interesting to see the different styles of pedal pubs. There's like the buses where they cut the middle out, and they've got like a kind of a double-decker thing.
Army tanks or whatever they are.
Yep. They got the ones with the roof, so if it is raining, you don't get soaked.
They've got actual pedal pubs.
The pedal pubs, yep, those are...
Besides the party buses, yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah, lots.
Rickshaws, they've got those.
Lots. We took one of those actually on Saturday after the show was over because it's about a 2-mile walk from the stadium to our hotel.
Like,
maybe a little,
rickshaw?
maybe about 1.5 miles. And we walked out, and I'm like, we're taking a rickshaw. And so the guy got on his bicycle and rickshawed our ass right back to the hotel.
Awesome.
More from my trip to Nashville in just a bit. Right now, it's Waylon.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
That is Wayland, of course, with Bloody Sunrise. Tried to hook up with those guys while we were in Nashville because they live down there now, but unfortunately it didn't work out. Texted Phil as we were headed down there on Wednesday about hooking up somewhere on Wednesday evening before it was funny that we were going there and they were leaving Thursday to come to Wisconsin. And so I texted him, and he said that they had some van issues and they weren't going to be able to meet up on Wednesday night. And then,
That's
of
a bummer.
course, Saturday night, he texted me while we're at the Metallica show, and we were getting up to drive back on Sunday. And I texted him on Sunday and said, look, dude, I'm like, it was not going to be
A midnight after
No.
bar, kind of after concert thing.
no. So I said, we'll see you again at some point.
Always van issues. Always van.
Always.
van or bus issues. Always.
Brewers tonight at home against the Astros. 6:40 first pitch, 1-3 against Houston. A couple of games in the NBA tonight starting at 6 on TNT with the Knicks and Celtics. You got a game in the NHL tonight, Panthers Maple Leafs on ESPN. Rangers hiring Mike Sullivan as their new head coach days after he left his job with the Penguins. Sullivan's deal is for 5 years, and it's apparently going to make him the highest paid coach in NHL history. Basketball Hall of Famer Greg Popovich no longer going to be coaching the San Antonio Spurs, transitioning to a full-time role as the team's president of basketball operations. The team made the announcement on Friday. Mitch Johnson, who was named acting head coach after Pop, suffered a mild stroke back in November, now taking over head coaching duties permanently. A lot of tributes coming out for Pop from NBA players near and far. A lot of love for Pop. A week after agreeing to a deal to lure the Commanders back into the city, the District of Columbia receiving more good news. It will now host the 2027 NFL Draft.
No way, really.
An official announcement expected sometime later today at the White House. The draft going to be held on the National Mall where the Washington Monument stands. And all the famous videos and pictures and all the scenes that have occurred there. And
I was there. The space is lovely, large, beautiful.
the draft, which will be in Pittsburgh next year, obviously a huge draw. Packers, Green Bay, seeing more than 600,000 fans for the 3-day event last month. Detroit, of course, establishing a record attendance back in 2024 with about 750,000 people. We'll see what it does in D.C. Bucks guard Damian Lillard successfully undergoing surgery on Friday to repair his torn Achilles. The team made the announcement online. The surgery was performed by Dr. Neil something or other in Los Angeles with consultation from Bucks orthopedic surgeon Dr. Carol Vetter. They say 10 months, maybe more, for rehab.
Oh, have you ever known anybody that's torn Achilles? Like, personally? It's awful.
Probably. I don't know if I really remember. But I'm sure I
knew someone, and it was very painful, and it took her a long time to get recovered.
Yeah.
Speaking of recovery, the fan that fell at PNC Park.
Yeah, apparently awake and doing okay, I guess.
So glad to hear that. I didn't check into his status over the weekend. Obviously saw it, and the players all taking a knee, and it was really super scary. He's 20 years old and fell over that 21-foot wall at PNC Park. He's now awake, alert, and able to speak. We are so relieved and grateful to share some encouraging news about Kayvon, I believe. Everything he's been through since the accident on Wednesday night, and obviously he's got a long road ahead of him, but he's alert and awake and able to speak, knows who he is. All of that stuff is really great and inspiring news.
Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to some Fame on Fire in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
Chains from Fame on Fire, Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Email from the wife. Here for the party, gunpowder and lead, don't stop believing, highway to hell, what's up, from Four Non Blondes. Those were the songs that were essentially on repeat. Every single one of the bars had a band, and they all played those songs.
This was in Nashville. You just got back from Nashville.
Yep.
Seeing Metallica, you were just telling me you got a bunch of merch. And
yeah, so they do a pop-up shop, and we went on Thursday, and they were out of some of the limited stuff that they had, but they had plenty of other swag. Got a T-shirt. And then I went back on Saturday and waited in line for 3.5 hours to get. There's a vinyl record you can get for 72 seasons, and then there's like a special tour poster, and then they also have a special T-shirt for each night of the two shows. So, yeah, no shortage of ways to be parted from your money.
Nope,
to say the least. The one thing we tried that was an absolute massive failure, and maybe I'm the only one who will laugh at it, but those stupid scooters that are in all the big cities.
Yeah.
The electric scooters or whatever.
Yeah.
People are zipping around on them all over the place, right? It's a Good way to get around quickly without having to be in an Uber.
Because you did the pedestrian bridge, or no? Did you ever cross that on the river to get?
No, I mean we started to walk up it because we were trying to walk somewhere and we couldn't figure out
where you were going.
When you Google Map on your phone and you're trying to walk somewhere, it is the most confusing thing in the world. Like the car, I don't know why, but when you're taking the car directions, it makes sense. But when you're walking the stupid thing, it always seems to like change direction on you and you never know which way you're going. It sucks. Anyways, so Saturday, as we were leaving the hotel to walk down to the stadium for the Saturday night show, there was 2 of those things parked in our hotel parking lot. And we had been joking about them kind of all weekend. I think they're called Lime bikes or whatever. And so I said, let's do it. F it. Let's just do it. Then we can say we did it. We'll try it. And my wife was very concerned that she was going to wipe out and break her face. And I said, you'll be fine. So you like scan the QR code, and then you get sign up for an account, all this crap. And it's like, it's a lot more work than it needs to be. So I get on the one. My wife's on one. And it's got three controls.
Is it like a bike? Or
no,
is it
it's like a standing scooter.
Got it.
And it's got 3 controls. It's got a brake on the left, a brake on the right, and on the right-hand side, it's got a little lever that you push down, and that's the gas.
E-scooter. You were riding an e-scooter.
So you get set. It says you're all good. Hop on. I get on the thing, and I press the gas, and it doesn't go anywhere. And so I'm waiting, and I'm like fiddling with it. I'm going slow. I'm holding it down. I'm letting it flip back up. I'm kicking the stupid battery pack. I can't get this thing to move. And then finally, like, I don't know what I did, but at one point it started to take off on me, right? And, of course, I got the thing all the way down. So it's like, yeet. And then I couldn't get it to do it again. And so my wife, massive failure. I could see why these things end up in rivers because, like, man, it was infuriating.
Well, maybe that's why it was there. It was broke. It was still remaining. Could she ride hers?
No. Same problem. And I went and got on hers, too, and just had no clue what the hell was going on.
I'm watching the video here. It's how to ride an e-scooter. It looks real easy.
Yeah, it appears like it should be. But my stupid ass got on this thing, and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me, and I wasn't going to mess around with it anymore.
Okay, so you put the kickstand up, and did you do that before you started?
You put the kickstand up.
Swipe the kickstand.
Yep, and then kick and go. It's like
kick and go.
Yeah, and nothing, no go. A lot of kicking, not so much with the going.
Are you sure you were using the throttle?
I was. That's the only. I don't know what. I'll just stick to riding my Harley. I'll be all right with that. Yeah, those things made no sense to me whatsoever. I tried.
One foot on the vehicle's floorboard. Did that? Push off the ground with the other foot while pressing on the throttle.
Did all that.
Ooh, look at he's going.
Yep.
Keep yourself and your city safe.
I don't know, man. There were some guys that were riding those things down the middle of the street, like on the double yellow line in the middle. Yeah. And we were kind of surprised, too. We had been told that the street, Broadway, will close down at certain points. So
did you ever see it?
Yeah,
I didn't.
on Friday.
Oh.
And when I asked one of the bartenders, I said, I thought, with all the people down here, that they would close the street down. And she says there's no real rhyme or reason to it. They just sort of do it arbitrarily when they want. So I don't know if there's some kind of way to tell if, like, there's a bigger crowd than normal or what. But
a numbers game where they see how many. I don't know. When we were down there was no closing, and the cars were.
And it was later on Friday night that they closed the bars or closed the street down, and so that everyone could just kind of wander around wherever they went. But yeah, we hit up the zoo. The zoo was really cool. We went to the National Museum for African American Music on Friday morning. That was cool.
That was neat.
Yeah, neat, interesting. Lots of stuff to see and do, obviously. And again, we could have done a million things. There's bus tours. You can take
all sorts of stuff to do.
Take a haunted tour. You can take a bus tour of like famous people's houses. Yeah, no shortage of things to do. But we just, the meter was running. You have to Uber or Lyft at pretty much everywhere. There's not a really good mass transit situation going on. They got buses, obviously, but no train or light rail or anything like that, which disappointing. Trying to think of anything else. Yeah, everything was good. food and drink, bars, music.
See any famous people?
Well, the guy from SiriusXM, obviously, ran into him. Ran into a former coworker of ours, Big Tuna, Wayne D, who's like a big country radio guy now, wins all sorts of awards down there. I didn't get in touch with him either. I just we were there waiting at Metallica, and he comes out of the snake pit, and I was like, I thought I might see you. So, yeah, we caught up for a couple of minutes. Ran into a buddy of mine who's a sound producer, a tech guy, who was down there with. This is actually kind of funny. So he and I had been in touch, and and we finally ended up hooking up on. I think it was on Wednesday night, maybe Wednesday. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he was hanging out with some other music people, and the one guy, I think his name's Trevor, works for Weezer. And I said, "Oh."
How's that going?
How's that been going lately? And he's like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, so got a little bit more inside info on that whole situation. So that was kind of interesting. But no,
That was it for famous people?
That was it. I didn't, I didn't know if with Metallica in town. Well, and we found out afterwards that, at the Kirk Hammett thing that we went to, the guitar thing, he was telling us that there was a bunch of people backstage at the show that either live in the Nashville area or were in the area famous people. We saw that Jack White had been there.
Lots of people live in Nashville.
And he's apparently
Kid Rock's
lives down
White
there.
House is down there.
Yeah, we didn't see him. I was kind of hoping maybe.
Yeah, you always hope maybe.
Yeah, but no, we didn't really run into anybody all that famous. Just some people that I knew and had a good time. Well, definitely, when we talked about it, we said we'd like to go back, and obviously without having to give a bunch of our time to a couple of concerts and have more time to do things on our own. Because we didn't even make it to that food market thing that you were talking about, which obviously we knew where it was. We saw it, but we didn't even get in there because it was just like, there's just so much stuff to do. Highly recommend, though.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Excuse me. Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Got a text from Lucas. Said, Brian seems like the type of guy that thinks black pepper and Old Bay are too spicy. I love Old Bay seasoning. I put that stuff on all sorts of things. Love it. I would not consider that spicy. I'm talking about pain-inducing.
You don't like
heat.
anything.
I don't understand
barely even
it.
Regular wings, do you? I mean, like Frank's Red Hot sauce is almost too much for you.
If I make a bloody, like a traditional pint glass bloody, maybe 2 drops of Tabasco, and that's about enough for me. Mixed in with the Bloody Mary mix.
You're never putting a jalapeno on a nacho?
I try not to. I mean, sometimes it's not a...
Accidentally
I
gets
don't
you?
look, and here's the thing, right?
You don't like it.
The problem with the chicken was that when I bit into it, I was, you sort of breathe in at the same time, and the spice got into the back of my throat, and so I started to choke and die. And my wife's like, "Are you okay?" And I was hot.
I'm not chicken.
Right,
my chicken is hot.
And then your lips are burning, and it's just I don't find that enjoyable. That's not how I want to eat food. Savory, smoky, sweet, meaty. I all of that is fine with me. I don't understand people that would literally burn their face off to eat food. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It's hot. It's got its own kind
It's like a former coworker of ours who would make this chili, and it's like you put 8 million ingredients into a chili, and all you could taste is hot. I don't understand it. Why waste any time with the beans and the meats and all the stuff? Just put the hot in and leave it alone. Pam said, Brian, welcome back to Wisconsin. I just got up. Good to see you and the wife in Nashville. We did run into her after.
No way. Did you really?
Crazy, right? 70,000 people or however many people were there. The problem
and you ran into somebody from lacrosse.
Yeah, well, Pam, who had messaged us and said that her and her husband and her kid were going down there. Yeah, we were walking around we had to walk around the entire effing stadium because we went out the wrong exit. And so, we had to walk, and it was just, so we ran into them halfway around the stadium, but, yeah. Alex texting in saying, good morning, y'all. Alex from Sparta, welcome back, Brian. Can we get some Aussie? Yeah, we can get some Aussie. It's just too hot.
I know, you don't like it.
These people are insane.
I know you don't like it.
Ooh, one thing that was sketch, too. So, we took a different route on the way back. Because in the...
Driving.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we just we put it into Google Maps, and you just assume it knows what it's doing. Well, I told you on the way down, we got redirected on some county highway, and I thought it was a go-around for some road construction. Well, we ended up being on that thing for like an hour, and then when we came out the other side, it was on the border of Indiana and Kentucky, and there's like a bridge that's over the Ohio River, which is where the Mothman happened back in the day, when the bridge and all the people that said they saw the Mothman. And so we're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on this bridge, and my wife is having a complete meltdown in the car, and, I'm like, look, we're not going to get Mothman on this bridge. We'll be okay. So she didn't want to go that way on the way back, obviously, because she was very concerned.
You can't promise that's not going to happen.
So we went a different way, and it was, it was like 65 all the way up to Chicago, essentially, and then you through Indianapolis, and you take 290. But anyways, I don't know what happened. We got off the highway, and it was Gary, Indiana. Have you ever been? I don't know if it's just
Gary, Indiana.
I don't know if it's just this one section of
Gary, Indiana.
I didn't even know where we were at the time. We got off the highway, and every single building was like burned down or boarded up.
Bad.
It was, and I said to my wife, I'm like,
what's going on?
Where are we? What are we doing? Why are we not?
Gary, Indiana.
Bro, it is not good there. No. Is that the whole city like that, or is it just that one strip? Because for about 10 miles, it was really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Well, it was part of...
Like, didn't want to be there bad. Thought about turning back around.
Steel mills and that kind of industrial
I didn't see
stuff.
Any of that.
Well,
it was...
used to, that's how the town was built.
God.
And so I don't know if it's...
It is scary as hell.
I think it's kind of seen a huge decline since all of that.
You could say that. That's a very nice way of putting it. Literally every other building was burned down or had its windows boarded up.
Yes.
Bars on the windows.
Yes.
It was just, Yeah. Not my scene. It was not my scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adventures in traveling. But that's why I like driving. You get to see that stuff. You get to see America. You're in a plane, you don't get to see any of that stuff.
Did you see the town with the big cross off the highway? Effingham, Illinois.
I know we passed a sign that said Effingham, but I don't remember seeing it.
You couldn't miss it.
There's
no way. 57 and 70, cross at the crossroads.
No idea. You're asking the wrong guy.
198 feet tall. You'd see it.
I don't remember seeing one. So
okay,
no.
then you didn't go that way. All right.
Yeah. Get on those county roads in these states you've never been. You're like, man, I hope we don't break down because I don't want to go into any of these people's houses for help. Thankfully, like nowadays with cell phone, you're good coverage, you're good to go.
You'll be fine.
That Gary, man.
Gary, Indiana.
Scary.
Indiana.
Like 10 miles of that. And the roads are in terrible shape.
Oh, yeah.
There's people begging for money right in the middle of this. Like you're like they're not on the side on a bucket over here.
Recession.
They're
bad.
like right in this in the traffic, and they're coming up to your car with their sign, and they're like staring at you through the window. It's like, get out of here!
I can't get out of here fast enough.
Oh God! I actually let someone cut in front of me in traffic, and that's not normally how I am because I'm an aggressive driver.
Because you're like,
but this guy had black tinted windows, and I was like, I'm not messing around with this guy. He might shoot me, so I'm just gonna say, go ahead, dude, have at it. Gary, Indiana. What a dump. Never going back to that place again, I can tell you that much. POD in a couple of minutes right now, Star Set.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from Brian and Gene is coming up.
Youth of the Nation from POD on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Alex texting in saying all of Gary, Indiana is that bad.
I think so, too. That's what I was going to tell you.
Said a ton of interstates merged there, so it's just a mess. Yeah, look, I've never been through Gary, Indiana, so I have no idea. And I just know that all I know is we got off the highway, and I just told you, you drive by a building, and you're like, oh, man, look at that place must have burned down. And then, like, 2 buildings later, you're like, oh, that place must have caught on fire, too. And then every place seems to have either caught on fire or been boarded up.
Decline of the steel industry. It was their primary economic engine, and significant job losses, population shrinkage.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's from there, by the way.
He ain't there anymore.
Racial tensions, the whole thing.
Oh, I'm sure. But it just was sad.
You could
driving
get a property
through this
pretty cheap, probably.
Oh, I bet. I don't want it. I mean, I'm looking up the streets, too, like, as you're going past, because you're thinking, okay, well, maybe this main drag is really bad, and then maybe some of that, but all the houses that I could see were just not good either, like all boarded up windows and stuff. It's like, oof. Sketch. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Bad news, heavy music coming up in just a bit right now. The friggin' sports! Father's Day, still a month from now, a month and some change. Mother's Day right around the corner, though.
Yeah, it's Mother's Day is this Sunday, by the way.
And this dad got himself an early Father's Day present at the Yankees-Rays game at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. Hanging out with what I'm assuming is his daughter. Got her on the shoulders. Ball's coming into the stands. He's got the glove. And what does she do?
I don't know.
Wraps her hands around his eyeballs. Yeah.
So he's got her up
no
there.
look catch. No look catch for Dad. But he got it. He secured the ball in the glove and
he did it.
Made the catch and got a little razzle dazzle from the announcers.
He's going to catch the ball. She covers his eyes.
How about that?
And he still caught it.
It's dad power right there.
That's impressive.
Now catch it blindfolded, and after you do that, give me the ball.
Yeah, looks like Dad's got daughter on the shoulders. Decided that it would be a great time to play some peekaboo and wraps her hands around his eyes as he's just about to catch the ball. It was kind of a done deal. It was heading right to the glove anyways, but all he had to do was secure it, and he took care of business. Good for him.
Way to go.
No one was in any mortal danger, but he's making the highlight reels. Dad strength. Might be in the video before the wedding, before the nuptials, like leading up to the whatever happens with the daughter at some point, maybe at the high school graduation, like, oh, remember this?
Mid-June, 13th, 14th, 15th.
Right? Sunday the 15th?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. But daddy-daughter day at the ballpark, got himself a little souvenir for his daughter, and nobody got hurt.
Gary, Indiana, FedEx has just announced they're going to build a $60 million distribution center in Gary to try to help with...
Well, that'll help a little. Don't build it where I was driving because they'll have to board up the windows.
They've been rewriting programs that have directed impact on students, including the city's... This is how you know it's bad. The city's American Rescue Plan Act, which funded $3.4 million to relight the city project. Phase 1 of relighting the city has begun on Broadway and Ridge Road. Now we're on to neighborhoods, so every single light in the city works.
Talking about street lights.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad we were there during the day. That's all I can say about that. It was...
Like accidentally going through that at night.
Couldn't get out of there fast enough. Couldn't get out of there fast enough. It was just,
Except they have a plan to relight the city. Like they don't work.
And there wasn't even a spot where, like, a lot of places that are like that. There's several places like that in Milwaukee where you get to a point and it sort of switches over to like a more habitable, or habitable environment.
Nothing there.
Didn't see that at all. Didn't catch that part of the town. It's like the whole 10 miles was just off.
There's a hard rack being built there too, I guess.
Yeah, well, hopefully this infrastructure will help, increase
stuff.
Bad News, Happy Music is coming up in just a bit. Don't go anywhere.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world.
A cockroach living in your nostril.
Now that's just nasty.
Add in some haven't pooped for 30 days.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
And sprinkle in some #Florida Man for flavor.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man quits his Burger King job, steals all of their chicken nuggets.
It's bad news.
Bad news.
With happy music.
Let's rock.
We'll get to the Florida Man here in just a bit. But first, Ohio man. Maybe not necessarily from Ohio, but in Ohio.
When this incident happened?
Dude, I've seen some crazy stuff on the highways. We've traveled a lot over the last couple of years, and you just see the most insane things. People doing 85, 90 miles an hour, and they got their phone like this.
Changing clothes.
Scary as hell, right?
Riding with a cow in the car.
Doing sex stuff. This guy stops his vehicle in the middle of a 3-lane highway. So there's 3 lanes, and then there's a 4th lane, and the 4th lane is the exit lane for the off-ramp. And we're talking like, major highway here. We're not talking, some county road. And this idiot is in the middle of the 3 lanes, realizes about 100 yards after the turn that he missed it, stops the vehicle and is waiting for traffic, and he's looking out his mirror, obviously, to like try and take a left. He's got enough room where if he could take a quick left, he could make it. But there's cars zooming by him the whole time.
Yeah.
And somebody has to stop behind him. 2 vehicles do so, and then the third doesn't.
Well, yeah, because you're not expecting that on a highway.
So the Ohio Department of Transportation posted the video last week of a red van coming to a complete stop on an interstate after they missed their exit. Seemed to be waiting for the lanes on the right to clear up so they can make a last-second turn. In the meantime, a couple of cars stops behind the red van, and then another van slamming into those 2 cars, causing a multi-car pileup. The van that hit the 2 cars in front of him obviously bounced off and went into the left-hand lane. The original red van was mostly spared. They heard the crash, but then took off anyways, made the turn down the exit, and drove away. Doesn't sound like anybody was seriously injured. The driver of the red van has not yet been identified, but the police are trying to figure out who they are so they can be cited and charged. And there's video of it, too.
Well, I'm sure.
The Ohio Department of Transportation on their social media feed saying, when you're driving along a major interstate and you miss your exit, do you A, keep driving and get off at the next one, or B, come to a complete stop, cause a multi-car rear-end crash, and then drive away? Hint, the answer is never B. Don't be this driver. Absolute insanity.
It is.
Absolute insanity.
You're going the wrong way! What? You're going the wrong way!
How do they know where we're
We're
going?
going the wrong way! Oh, he's drunk. How would he know where we're going?
Yeah.
Yeah, how would he know?
Unbelievable to me. Told you we'd get to Florida, man.
What do you do this time?
A community in Florida is being terrorized by a man who throws groceries through the windows of homes, including meat and canned corn. I got to be honest, in this economy, if
Like
you
as
want
gifts?
if
Or
you
is-
want, no. But
You have a can of corn.
if you
have
want
a
to throw
can of
some
corn.
free groceries in
Here's
my
some
house,
meat. So he's trying to do damage?
Oh, yes.
We threw it back in his yard a couple times, and he threw it back after a while.
I called the lady who lives there because she lives in Canada to explain that Earl had attacked her house again. She just put $500 into repairing it, and the next week he threw stuff through the windows again.
Someday he's going to hurt somebody.
Most of us are senior citizens, and we're afraid to walk down our own street.
a man who has been known to throw cans of food and other items around a neighborhood in Florida, arrested after a neighbor saw he threw canned corn through her window. The woman in Port Charlotte called the sheriff's office to report vandalism outside when she heard the sound of glass breaking, turned toward the noise, and saw one of her neighbors, a 38-year-old named Ernest Saintville,
Is a fruit
running
cup coming through her
from
window?
another neighbor's yard and back towards his home. According to the affidavit, the front window broken. Witnesses claim that this guy is known in the area for throwing cans of food around that he has gotten from food banks and causing issues. Suspect has also thrown a bottle of urine, glass plates, chunks of metal, and
he's just a thrower.
raw meat at their
That's
homes.
a guy that just he likes to toss stuff.
Deputies contacting the victim just replaced the window that he had already broken. This guy's been arrested. Yeah. Maybe drive this guy to the edge of town and drop him off. You don't get to live
Enough
here.
of you.
You don't get to live here.
You
You've
gotta
got to go
go.
throw cans
You
somewhere
got-
else. Yeah. This was, let's see, where was this? We're going back to Ohio. The video of this is crazy. I gotta say, Waffle House employees get a lot of love on the internet for their ability to fight because stuff goes down at Waffle Houses.
Is this a fight?
This is at a Dairy Queen. You might need to, Waffle House might be getting this guy in the draft. The guy that puts the chokehold on this dude behind the counter, he's getting drafted by Waffle House. He's getting picked up in the next supplemental
So somebody
draft.
went to get a dilly bar? And
This
things
guy
went,
it took too long, and he said, I've had enough, and he went behind the counter, and he punched one of the employees. Another employee rocks this guy with a right hand to the back of the dome, And then the employee who originally got punched gathers himself up, puts his glasses back on, and puts this dude in a rear naked chokehold. Chokes the ever-loving life out of this guy. I love it. He's getting drafted by Waffle House.
He started screaming, and so then the lady was like, there's no need to scream, which was the coworker that got attacked. And then eventually he came back there and assaulted her.
People are people and things are going to happen. I just didn't want anybody else to get hit. Or, we're in the kitchen. There's knives. There's hot grease. Homeboy could have had a gun. I mean, we never know. I didn't want anything to escalate, so I was just like, you're going to sleep.
All right, so it was a female employee that apparently put him in a chokehold. This was on Wednesday of last week.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I told you, 4:30 in the afternoon. Employees say the suspect waited a while for his food due to a shift change, but instead of remaining calm, he became belligerent and aggressive. He went inside, had some words back and forth, decided that wasn't enough. He went around the corner of the counter and assaulted the female that was in the back preparing the food. Workers say the female employee tried to de-escalate the situation, but this guy only got angrier, started screaming, punched somebody. I got to tell you, though, this girl that jumped on his back and rear naked choked his ass, she's got to move up the ranks here and go to Waffle House because they could use her skills back there behind the counter.
She gets punched first,
yeah,
and
puts
then
her glasses back on. I told you.
Just grabs him from behind and rides his back for a while.
It's a lot getting punched in the face. As you can see, jaw is still really swollen, and it's starting to bruise a little bit. It'll be a big bruise.
And this was because his order was wrong? Is that what
No, it was taking too long because they were on a shift change. Anyways, this guy's been obviously arrested. Charged with 1 count of assault. Currently out on bond. Probably not welcome back at the Dairy Queen.
I would never turn violent like that. You know that about me.
Oh, you're a pacifist.
But I had thoughts waiting in a line yesterday that made me so frustrated and angry that I barely could hold myself together. I mean, I wasn't going to go, but I almost said words, and I didn't even say words. Dude, I couldn't.
I want to hear about this.
The only explanation that is plausible for me, and I kept saying to myself, it's a young person. They had to have been their first day on the job. That the only explanation for it was in a garden center, and the line had to have been 12 people long, and every pot has a tag on it.
Yeah.
Can't find a tag. Spin the pot, spin the pot, can't find the thing. And then the binder with the soil and the thing that's in the thing is at another counter. So the person's got to go get it, walking at the speed of nothing.
No, they're not.
Turtle walking through the thing. And there's...
Easy. The last time you got this worked up, you said the F word on the radio.
None of that is good behavior for getting angry. But and the guy in front of me, 2 people in front of me, he was not holding it together. He was saying things about opening another line and what the hell's wrong and why can't you do that? And I'm just like, it has to be his first day. That's the only explanation.
Back to Florida, several Tampa Bay area realtors have raised the alarm about a disturbing pattern involving a man they believe is targeting female agents.
Oh, yes, that's scary. Waiting in the houses for them?
During home showings in order to touch their feet.
That's scary.
They described his behavior as sexually inappropriate, and it has prompted an urgent call for increased safety measures.
He pointed down at my feet and was like, oh, you have an ant on your shoe. And I was like, where? And I'm frantic trying to get the ant off my shoe. And I'm like, where? And he's like, right there, right there. And he bends down and he starts unbuckling my shoe and caressing my foot. And I just thought that was really weird.
Yeah, because it is weird.
At the same time, he's fidgeting with his phone, petting my foot, fidgeting the phone, and I think he's trying to take some type of a video up my skirt. It was really alarming.
More than a half a dozen women have now come forward with similar accounts of encounters with the same man. They say he allegedly uses fake house tour bookings or drop-ins at open houses to get close to the female agents, specifically to make contact with their feet.
Really beautiful feet.
That was Angela, who said the man told her she had an ant on his foot. Down there, rubbing and caressing and fidgeting with the phone while he's got her feet out.
I don't even like feet.
Unsettling interactions date back to at least July of last year. This guy's been at it for almost an entire year. More women now speaking out as word starts to spread about the encounters, which have left many feeling violated and vulnerable.
Wow, they're like really soft.
Well, I suppose at first you might not think anything of it, but then you start hearing within your industry, there's rumors, and all of a sudden there's more and more women saying the same thing.
I don't know, man. Anybody's rubbing my feet, unless you're paid to rub the foot, then
you're getting a foot to the face. That's what's happening.
They're trying to increase security. They're talking about buddy system and all this stuff. And
I don't even like feet.
That's scary.
At least one incident has already been reported to the police department, confirming a similar complaint, noted that no charges were filed at the time. I think they are aware of who this guy is.
Is it okay to touch him again?
It is not.
No, it is not.
It wasn't okay to touch him the first time, yeah.
Last but not least, a bar that's probably not going to be open much longer. This is in Tempe, Arizona. They were busted for a major underage drinking bust recently.
How many?
Nearly 200 people cited earlier this month. And the bar is now coming under fire after a social media post that compared the incident at the bar with the 200 underagers getting busted to the attacks of September 11th. In a now deleted Facebook post, the Tempe Tavern in Tempe, Arizona, posted a photo of a black T-shirt with the words "Tavern Strong" on one side and R911 over the image of an American flag on the back.
How can you be so dumb?
Because people are dumb. That's how. The post itself was captioned, "They hit the second tower. Hashtag Tavern Strong. Available next week for purchase." You can obviously find these and see them online if you wish. Tempe Tavern posting the picture of the T-shirts on April 25th, a day after the underage drinking bust. ASU students defending the bar, telling the news station there that it's a college town. Students are going to have fun. However, they say the shirts apparently took the situation a little too far. So the underage drinking we're cool with because we like to underage drink.
It kind of happens everywhere. I mean,
of course it does.
Bars in Madison that have been busted with 200-300 people that get tickets. So it happens. It's their reaction to it, I think, that makes it noteworthy. What are you talking about? You're breaking the law and you got busted.
I know what we'll do.
That's what it is.
I know what we'll do. We'll make 9/11 shirts. That'll really rally the
compares our pain of this underage illegal bust.
That'll rally the community. That'll be our rallying cry. Everyone here will understand our pain. The thousands of lives lost on September 11th.
You can't compare anything to that. How do they not know that?
It's incomparable to the pain that we feel as a bar. Having 173 people get busted for underage drinking.
Just pay your fine.
Idiots. Bad news, happy music. Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to our daily check-ins after Nickelback.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings. Call.
Hello.
Email.
I tried emailing you.
Text. So many ways to check in with us. Check. We rely on you guys for traffic updates, requests, and all sorts of other stuff.
Check this out.
Hit up the website, rockmornings.com, for all of our contact info. Eric said, Gene, calm down before you drop the F-bomb. You know how you get when you get worked up about garden centers.
Aggravated. So aggravated.
Text from Doug said, Gary, Indiana has been that way for a long time. I have traveled all over this nation, and that was one place I was afraid to stop into.
They have a project right now where they're trying to make all the streetlights work. That tells you all you need to know about that.
Alex said all of Gary, Indiana is that bad. A lot of interstates merge there, so it's just a mess. All I know is we were on that one road for about 10 miles, and it was scary as hell.
And you were in the daylight.
Thank God, and I don't even believe in God, but thank him, whoever it was, because, man, I didn't want to be there in the dark. Matt sent me a message on Facebook, said, we did work down in Harvey, Illinois, which borders Gary, Indiana, and they are both hellholes.
Oh, jeez.
The main contractor said to get behind the fence at 3 p.m. when we were busy working and noticed no one was around. We turned around and noticed why we were supposed to get behind that fence. Yeah, I get it. I'm not blaming the people. You lose your number one industry, and there's towns all across America like that where the steel industry or the
coal or whatever
the brake factory closes down. And you
something happened.
Got to send Tommy Boy out on the road to try and sell some calipers. Kyle texted in and said, "Welcome back, just in time for no mow May." I said, F that. I got to mow. I mowed last Tuesday, and I already have to mow again.
Do you really?
Yeah,
wow.
Dude, my lawn grows like weeds. That was another thing about Nashville. Very lush. Everything was already alive.
Yep.
Everything was very green.
There were a couple weeks ahead of us. And
there was no bugs, though. We didn't really encounter any bugs, which I was surprised by. No, mosquitoes or bees or any of that stuff.
I heard the mosquitoes are bad down there, though. One of our tour guides said, oh, yeah, it's a huge problem.
Lucas said, Brian seems like the type of guy who thinks black pepper and Old Bay are spicy.
It was the hot chicken. Nashville hot chicken's just not for you. You told me that you guys were going to go have some, and I'm like, oh, that's a dumb idea.
Well, you have to. You're going to Nashville.
Yeah, you don't.
Nashville
you don't have to. I don't think.
I tried it. I don't.
You didn't try hot
other
chicken.
Than the spice, it was great. The chicken was crispy and juicy, and the bun was buttery.
Then just have some fried chicken.
Yeah, but the sandwich was good. It just was too spicy. Pam said, welcome back to Wisconsin. I just got up. Good to see you and the wife in Nashville. Somebody texted in and said, creepy old guys filming girls with their phones was the one thing I noticed while in Nashville. Well, there was about 1 billion hot girls in jean shorts and cowboy boots, and old guys going to creep.
There was 1 billion of
Creep's
them.
going to creep. You can't. Everywhere you turned, it was
hot girls in boots and shorts.
Hot girls everywhere.
Boots and shorts and shorts and boots and boots and shorts.
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Also got a message from Billy Doc Niles said, apparently no one around our campfire tonight knows where the basement of the Alamo is. How effing depressing. You're hanging out with the wrong people, Doc.
He knows that.
You need to get some new friends. Thank you for all the correspondence. Good to hear from you guys. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.